Thanks for being here. We have George, the winning team of tonight's first semifinal match, George Mason with us. They defeated NJIT 3-0. Head coach Jay Hosick and opposite hitter Hayden Wagner with us. We'll start with Jay, just an opening thoughts on the match, and then we'll open the questions after that. If you have a question, just use the raise your hand function on Zoom, and then we'll turn it over to you. You can ask Jay or Hayden a question. So go ahead, Jay.
Well, first off, hats off to NJIT on a fantastic season. That program in the last 5 or 6, 7 years has grown dramatically. And Danny Goncalves, the head coach, has done a phenomenal job recruiting and getting that team to be a top contender. They were not easy tonight, and they never are easy. They had our number. Both times we saw them this year, they beat us both times, but we knew we were a much different team back then than we are now. And so, I couldn't be more proud of my guys and how they worked and just took ownership of this year. They came in with 6 seniors that they refused to go down without a fight. They know that this is their last shot. And, win, lose, or draw, they just want to leave it all on the court. And they want to have no regrets. And I couldn't be more proud of them and the way that they played tonight. And I just want to give all the credit to them because they're the ones that are doing all the work. And we're just on the sidelines clapping and cheering and supporting them. So that's my opening statement.
All right, we'll start with Jonathan Bates and then we'll go to Vinny.
I guess I have a couple of questions for you, Coach. You were talking about the how much your team has changed from when the first couple of matches or the first 2 matches that you played against NJIT to now. Can you give us a little bit more of what you've seen? What's the biggest growth that you've seen on your team?
Well, the first 2 times we saw them, we had a concussion to one of our setters. And we only have 2 setters on the roster this year. And so we only had 1 setter in the gym, which you can work on some things, but you can't really get game ready. It's just really, really tough when you have 1 setter that, you're keeping on one side and you're not getting pushed from the other side. So that was one thing that we definitely were not very strong with. The second thing is, we looked at our blocking and our defense and we were just not executing the way that we're supposed to. Without going into too much detail, we just said we need to be more disciplined. And when we're disciplined, good things are going to happen. And we saw the fruits of the labor after the Penn State weekend when we saw them the first time. We noticed that those 2 matches, although they were losses, we don't really lose. We just learn. And we learned a lot about what we do well. And we also learned about things that we could do better. And so we worked on those things. And as you can see in the results the last, 6, 7 weeks, it's paid off. And so that's kind of what we were doing.
Go to Vinny next, followed by Gordon.
Coach Hayden, this was your first match in about 20 days just because of some of the COVID stuff. Can you just talk about how you felt your team was able to perform given the long layoff since your last match?
I'll be honest with you. I think both teams tonight have not played in 3 weeks. And it looked like it. It looked like both teams had some really nice moments. It looked like both teams were a little shaky at times. And it looked like both teams were out of rhythm at times. And so that's just, I think that's to be expected. I mean, you could scrimmage and all you want to make it feel like a match. But the reality is there's nothing quite like playing in a match. And so luckily, we came out and we prepared the best that we could. And we told ourselves, hey, we're just going to go out and let it fly and execute the game plan. And
my question's for Hayden. Being win that first set, how much of an emotional lift that for you?
I definitely think there was a momentum shift there just towards the end. You could kind of see with the score just kind of coming out in the second set. Seemed like they were a little bit tired. The wind was taken out of their sails a little bit. So it was definitely a turning point for us to win that first set and really kind of kind of take it to them that first set and show them that, hey, we're here to play and battle. And then we came out the second set the same way we finished, and it was just a great momentum booster for us throughout the whole match, and it was a good first set win for sure.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Coach, do you feel like with this win, there's a little bit of a monkey off the team's back, having lost two semifinal matches?
I do, but not because we couldn't get over the hump, but because the conference itself is getting better. You know, it's not easy to win the EIVA. And I know that there's some people across the country that seem to think that, you know, this is Penn State's conference and that's all it is, and everybody else is kind of a cakewalk. And that's absolutely not true. You know, ask Pepperdine, ask USC, ask Loyola, ask other schools that we've all played over the last couple of years, and they'll tell you it's not an easy conference anymore. And that's, you know, granted, we're not 9 teams deep of you know, Hawaii caliber, but the top 4 or 5 teams are pretty darn good. And, you know, for us to get through that hump just means that we worked a little bit harder and executed a little bit crisper than NJIT tonight. But NJIT, we had, out of the 3 sets, 2 of them were due sets, and one of them was way overdue or way extended. You know, the second set was more of a fluke. You know, Hayden mentioned about the wind being out of their sails. We just kind of rolled that momentum right onto them and didn't let them up to breathe. But that third set wasn't easy. And so we just kept sticking to the game plan and just kept working hard and kept our head down and, you know, letting bad points go and moving forward. And that's just what it took right there. That's all it was.
2 more questions here. We'll go to Vinny and then Gordon.
Yeah. Coach, forgive me if I got my wires crossed watching the match. Wouldn't be the first time, as you know, from the text you get from me sometimes. But it looks early on the match, you made a setter change. Can you just talk about the setter change you made, and then just how you thought the play was from your setter today?
Yeah, Luigi is a really good court leader, and he's obviously a senior. And so we wanted to give him, he's been setting us the last few weeks. We wanted to give him the shot tonight to lead the team and see what he could do. And we were watching his sets, and it just looked like he was a little bit off sorts, and he wasn't putting balls in good spots, and his tempo was off, and the decision-making was a little bit strange. So we were down pretty big in the first game. And I thought, well, let's just put Zach in there. Zach's a more efficient setter for us. He, you know, over the course of the season, probably sets his teams to, you know, 100 to 150 above what Luigi does. But, you know, Zach, leadership on the court is still being developed. And so we took that risk, and it paid off, and, you know, we just stuck with it. And luckily it came through for us all the way through the match, and we'll see who's going to set on Saturday. We don't know.
Last question for Gordon.
Now, it's actually a 2-part question. Part 1 for Jay, how's Creamer doing? And then part 2 for Hayden, just after the season year that you had last year, deciding to come back. Can you describe the feelings that you've got to reach this point?
Creamer is the Black Knight from Monty Python, and he could rip his arms off and his legs off, and he'd tell you it's merely a flesh wound. So, you know, he had some shoulder issues, and excuse me, and you know, he's going to rehab tomorrow, and we'll give him the day off and see how he feels on Saturday. You know, the beauty is Amy came in and did a pretty nice job. So, you know, Brad, for whatever reason, can't go. Amy gets the nod, and it's his time to shine.
Yeah, so I definitely knew that last year. I definitely wanted to come back. Extremely excited that I did. Very happy I did. Wouldn't want to finish it with any other guys, finish my career with any other guys. Super stoked that Sam decided to come back as well, along with Brad and Luigi and Jack, and definitely just wouldn't want to end it with any other guys. And we're traveling the way we want to, and we're ready for Saturday. So we're ready to bring it.